Welcome back to a game that is riddled with psychological torment and PTSD as we delve into the creature lore of The Evil Within 2. Just two things to note before we begin. I won't be covering the reoccurring bosses that come as a surprise in later chapters. Come on, you know the ones I'm referring to, right? That awesome sequence where bosses respawn and you fight them again from The Evil Within 1. I think the bosses that spawn are Laura, the Keeper, and the Sadist. They all return there. I feel like I already detailed them enough in my last creature analysis video, so check that out if you want to see what I have to say about them over there. Also, I won't be considering Stefano or Theodore as creatures since they're more or less psychopaths. They don't morph into creatures, so I'm reasonably leaving them off the list to shave time. No worries, because their lore and influence will still be mentioned in this video regardless.
The first time I was inside STEM, I didn't know I was in it. Even when I got out, I was never totally sure that I'd ever left.
I don't ever want to go back into STEM again if I can avoid it.
Consider yourself lucky. Union is like having deja vu in the middle of a dream about deja vu. I hope I can make it out of here with my mind intact.
I'm not sure anyone gets out with their mind completely intact. STEM marks you in ways that I think no one's aware of yet.
We last left off with Sebastian Castellanos escaping STEM and smashing the remaining brain that was connected to Ruvik's subconscious. Little did he know that he killed off Leslie's mind in the process to that. Ruvik now has fully possessed Leslie's body, only to walk away in the distance, unnoticed to everyone except Sebastian. 3 years pass as the Beacon Mental Hospital incident continues to plague Sebastian. At this point, Sebastian buries himself in alcohol, figuring that his whole family was eviscerated before his very eyes. He is then visited by an unsuspecting ghost from the past, Julie Kidman. Kidman reveals the shocking revelation that Sebastian's daughter was never really killed in their house fire. Mobius has kidnapped the little girl to create a second core for STEM. Lily's signal of resonance was lost within the core, and the only one who could potentially retrieve her is her one and only father. He readily agrees, then plunges into the looking glass surrounding an idyllic town known as Union. Union is home to similar creatures along with differing enemy types that manifested itself from the second core. The first pile of enemies that we definitely need to talk about are simply called the Lost. The Lost are extremely similar to the Haunted as corrupted citizens who plague Union. They're created by accident during STEM's destabilization process. The Lost acts like a bit of a more ferocious and dangerous humanoid when encountering an intruder. They will yell, play dead, and wander around the town aimlessly until a target is in their sight. They have an acquired taste for human flesh as they're seen eating various piles of bodies within the city. They also have a similar breakdown involving brainwave degradation as they wander in STEM longer than need be. Despite being humanoids, the big difference from the Haunted to the Lost is the pale skin tone and melted appearance with some of them. These mutations can look absolutely horrendous, especially mutations that involve both sides of the face dripping apart like an ice cream cone under extreme heat. The Lost can also keep memories, which is clear in a scene involving a mother lost trying to feed her son in the worst way imaginable.
Skin and bones, eat. Gotta eat. Skin and bones. Gotta eat. Clean your plate. I said eat! There we go.
What the?
Wrangling psychoplasm may spout from the head after the Lost is shot through the temple. There are 4 types of Lost variants, including the Albedo, the Glutton, Hysterics, and the Disciple. The albedo serves as a subconscious creature created by Myra Hansen. It is a tall, lanky man that has a statue-like ability to coat itself in hard cytoplasm. This makes offense more difficult to break through the hardened skin. The glutton was initially conceived by Theodore Wallace. It represents itself as a very obese person that has cancerous growth and disfigured limbs sliding across the torso. Human faces could also be found as a malformation within the stomach canal as well, which is no pretty sight. Their function is equal to cadavers, since the goal is to explode on impact against all possible intruders. The disciple was yet another manifestation from Theodore Wallace. They look like charred volcanic creatures with flames coursing through their veins. Lava seeps in every cracked orifice of the body, which ignites after a short cooldown. They exist to enforce Theodore's burning vengeance, maintaining order to his cult at all costs, and disciples could even be seen praying at altars to set up this notion. The incineration of the decaying loss could also adhere to Theodore's burning presence. If enough loss suffers immolation, then this creature may formulate from the ashes. They can only be opened up for a fatal attack when flame isn't surrounding their body. The last variation from the loss is personally labeled as the Hysteric. These are once again very emaciated females. They are usually under the guise of a female shrieker. The Hysteric usually will make a low clicking noise with its head lowered as they approach someone. Once they're alerted, they usually run towards their prey at a frantic pace. Then the Hysteric will violently try to bury a kitchen knife deep into the heart of Sebastian. Extreme caution needs to be exercised around any lingering Hysterics. They usually wear a white gown, completing the look with pale skin, scraggly hair, and disfigured teeth. Sunken skin slopes around the upper portion of the neck, making this enemy extremely unsettling to look at closely. The Obscura was created by Stefano Valentini. As the psychopath looked for the perfect piece of art, he stumbled across two potential female victims. During captivity, he brutally tortured them to death to create his greatest masterpiece, a disfigured mound of clay that took pictures of victims in their final moments before penetrating their skulls apart. He even voted for the option to cut out one of the females' tongues, since the constant screaming was beginning to annoy this striving artist.
Less malleable than clay, softer than marble. It really is the perfect medium. I can't concentrate like this. A sculpture doesn't need a tongue.
The Obscura is a nude woman when taking the upper body into account, but things get a little awkward when the leg positioning is equal to a tripod. The thighs are sewn together at the knees, which implies there was a little patchwork done to the female ligaments. The head was seemingly decapitated, replaced with a giant camera that has similar properties to Stefano's camera. A flash can stop time and space dead in its tracks within STEM. The creature also moans suggestively, which could be symbolized as Stefano taking satisfaction in his work. This demented satisfaction probably replaced all normalized screams to derive sick pleasure from this creation. The last observation is that it seems like Obscura has ballet shoes on if you look closely enough at all 3 feet. Stefano's pet is a force to be reckoned with, and unless you don't want to play head games, you will stay far away. The Lament is yet another crazy amalgamation born in the depths of union. It resembles a completely malformed female with 2 hosts attached to one singular body. It is also equal to the alter ego in a sense, but instead of the split head, you can clearly see there's a full secondary body growing near the spinal column. She has a large gaping maw as far as the main head goes, with many arms surrounding the torso. The creature's loud shriek is enough to make any docile enemies in the area alert. It also has long black hair melting into the body and very skinny legs. It also drips acidic properties, which can be used against the player if the lament grabs him for an attack. It can also be speculated that the conjoined bodies are reminiscent of a burn victim who probably died with multiple people during that time in STEM. This could explain why the creature resembles two charred women that are joined together in the process. The Harbinger is a tall, fearsome male that appears to be wearing garb similar to a priest. The back of the head resembles burnt psychoplasm, with the gas mask covering up most of the facial deformities. We can see that there is a special emblem that is fashioned on the back that signifies brainwave injections. It is fashioned to a tank which carries petrol for a particular weapon. They wield a flamethrower, and that is enough to do immense damage to a victim in close quarters combat. The fire is once again symbolic to the burning rage from Theodore Wallace, and it is said that Harbingers are also a form of converted disciples. Clearly, Theodore is able to mold and break people so they don't always seem to look the same. This is the same thing that Ruvik was capable of when trying to distinguish doppelgangers from regular packs of Haunted and himself. If Sebastian defeats all Harbingers near Post Plus, then a flamethrower could possibly be obtained. Liam O'Neill also had particular plans to convince Sebastian that Theodore's influence remained prevalent. Liam's ultimate goal was to convert Sebastian to a Harbinger just like him so they could serve Theodore Wallace.
Yes, Master. Of course. The machine is operating as it should. Thank you, Father Theodore. To hear you say that, it fills me with pride. What? But she is harmless to us. She's not... No. I would never disobey. Of course I will. Whatever pleases you. Yukiko, can you hear me? I'm in the fabrication room. Clearances don't mean much when everyone's dead. Just... please come and meet me here. I have something to show you. It's important. I'm sorry, Yukiko. But he demands it.
The effigy is a twin-headed creature coated in white viscous along with a telephone pole embedded into the body. Surprisingly, this telephone pole is weaponized in one of the death animations within the game. The body is also fused with multiple arms along with red pulsating cancer sacs that formulates through the midsection completely. The open, long jaw seems to drip into the side of the chest, possibly symbolizing a drooling baby. The effigy was created by Myra Hansen to stop Sebastian's progress dead in his tracks. Speaking of the effigy, I guess we could talk about the Watcher. You briefly meet this enemy deep within the Marrow tunnels. It has the same droopy mouth as the effigy and is yet again another byproduct of Myra Hansen. There are some key differences with the Watcher, including the number of red eyeballs that pulsate within both eye sockets that it has. The slime-ridden psychoplasm fills the marrow, and this creature is able to create white hands that burst out of the ground to attack nearby trespassers. Myra is able to use this creature to transport people away, as shown when the Watcher grabs away Lily Castellanos in Chapter 8 of the game. The Spawn is another conjoined menace that occupies various parts of Union. It is a dog-like entity that has two arms for legs, while the front head resembles a split maw that could be used for attack. The bottom jaw is where the other head droops to the side, while the other part of the creature is only used for sight and mobility. The Speed is the name of the game here, since this creature is faster than you and most of its prey, so you have to be quick on your toes if you want to outrun this abomination. The Guardian is a large sewn together woman who has multiple heads, hands, and body parts reeled together. The original form of the Guardian is possibly hinted at during a scene where Sebastian Castellanos sees a woman in red through a mirror. It is possible that one of the decapitated women who rests on the shoulders of the Guardian is a minor character whose name is Emily Lewis. You can find out more about this character in the document called Crimson Post article. It's clear that this tragic character had close bonds with Stefano Valentini, and because of their relationship, this probably migrated over to STEM in the form of a creature creation. Another decapitated body found. According to KCPD, the body of a woman was found in Crimson City Park this morning. The victim has been identified as Emily Lewis, an aspiring model and actress. Her head has yet to be recovered, but examination of personal effects found at the scene led to the identification. This is the latest in a string of unsolved homicides of a similar nature. Lieutenant James Van Kirk of the KCPD Homicide Division held a press conference where he confirmed our worst suspicions that Crimson City may be the hunting ground for a serial killer. Emily's longtime friend and photographer Stefano Valentini appeared heartbroken at the news. "It's a terrible thing that happened to my lovely model. At least I was able to capture her essence forever before it was destroyed. And too beautiful to leave on the street. I had to display them. I wish I could take credit. But it is nice to know that there are other artists in here with me." It's very clear that Stefano murdered his own colleague, and you can see the uncovered head writhing in pain within a chair seat in one scene. The Guardian could be seen as Stefano's interpretation of being reborn, since this more or less reflects his art, and since this creature is able to formulate its body from dead corpses centered around Union. It is presumed that the Lost stacks up bodies to revive potential Guardians throughout the city. She's very noticeable with a howling giggle and a buzzsaw attached to her hand. She wants to gut unsuspecting victims like a fish, and Sebastian better steer clear of her way. Since heads are prevalent on the Guardian, it may allude to the fact that Stefano decapitated many innocent women than originally reported. The Anima is a large female that can only be met through certain parameters. She resembles a tall figure with darkened hair and long tattered clothing in its wake. It seems to be a creature that is only visible to the selected targets, meaning that the Anima is possibly not seen by everyone inside STEM. This creature is almost extremely ghost-like, as she's able to phase through any type of geometry just to search for her prey willingly. She'll usually make a garbled singing noise if anyone dares to step near the creature's proximity. There's also things to take into account, like the temperature suddenly dropping for certain victims as detailed in the notes. The shocking revelation behind Anima is that she was a creation from earlier STEM participants. When fear dominates the cerebral hemisphere, there's a gradual erosion that causes surviving subjects to experience things others cannot see or hear once they are reconnected to STEM. Anima can be seen by certain people because of this, and she is seen as a manifestation of Sebastian's trauma throughout Beacon Mental Hospital. No matter how much Sebastian tries to bury the past, there will always be a possible absorption of memory when disconnected from STEM. Once subsuming takes hold of the victim, they will morph into a haunted or lost depending on the circumstances. Two final creatures to talk about here, so I will go a little faster as we wrap things up. First, we have the Aperture. That is a gigantic blue eye that you will see in the beginning stages. It is controlled by Stefano Valentini, and it more or less resembles an eye that he lost as a journalist who covered wars.
You know how to use this?
Kinda. I've covered wars, you know.
Either way, jokes aside, the eye can open itself up to spawn creatures, or it could be used to spot victims for a tentacle attack throughout the game. Once Stefano dies, the aperture is put to pasture for good. Also, fun fact, the definition of aperture means an open hole or gap. The matriarch is the final boss that you will encounter during the Evil Within 2. She represents Myra Hansen's violent wish to keep Lily Castellanos safe at any means necessary. Once again, it is another psychoplasm creature that almost rivals the size of a skyscraper. She is extremely deformed with a peak skeletal body. Deformities and orange tumors are hidden across the body as a visible weakness. The creature can also revert back to Myra at will, and there's another interesting property involving the host. The matriarch can also send miniature spiders to attack Sebastian if the tumors erupt by unknown gunfire. The matriarch is usually cited as the leading female of a tribe, a motherly presence, which can make perfect sense considering how far Myra will go to save Lily. And that is it, people. That is the end of my Evil Within 2 creature analysis video. Hopefully you enjoyed. Once again, go and watch the Evil Within 1 creature analysis video. If you want to see the first one, I will link all that stuff in the description below, as well as my contact social media links, which you will be seeing right here on screen. If you like the video, please be sure to comment, share, and subscribe, and like the video. That helps me out a lot. And once again, take care. This was fun, very informative, but it took me forever to do. So once again, I would appreciate the love and support and sharing the video as much as you possibly can. Thank you so much for your support. Once again, Merry belated Christmas, Happy New Year. Hopefully we have a good 2021, and hopefully we have a good year of content all around for you guys to enjoy on this channel. I'm Renegade Operative signing off. Once again, I will see you guys next time. Thank you so much for tuning in. Later.